We want to welcome our guest tonight, Miss Tammy Prosper. So Tammy Prosper is the founder and chief strategic life refiner of Hills and Valleys Inc. Tammy has a bachelor's degree in psychology and law. Tammy enjoys dedicating time towards helping people move forward to becoming their best version of themselves as they align their truth with their passion and their purpose. Tammy believes that everyone's unique gift and talents must be expressed and heard in order to bring about a more interesting, dynamic world. Tammy works in a strategic and refining manner to help learning individuals live their lives with flourishes, finesse, and flair. Miss Prosper, welcome to the Black Table Talks Part 3. Sorry about
times, which is what the highlight, my Road to Success presentation is called, Highlighted Perspective about Black Canadians Succeeding During Turbulent Times. It's going to be like an overview about the road to success. We're not diving into anything specific just because it's a large topic, and so that's my introductory message. Identify alleys and support people that you can reach out to, because there are some people that are there. You don't need to discount whole groups, you don't need to discount people. There are people that you can reach out to and support services. So professionally, it's taking stock of your situation as it stands. Look at your job. Maybe you are in a profession that is no longer operating on the same level or with the same frequency that it was before COVID, but start looking and start researching what are some of the skills that you can transfer over from one job to another. Look at how you can make that transition to see what elements that you can pull up so that you can enter into new markets. Think globally and stay current. So it's important to just it's important to look and see what is happening around you so that you can also anticipate where some of the new job growth and the new areas that are going to grow. With the COVID, there have been a lot of new positions that are in place, and so therefore maybe you can take a hold of that. In terms of the community, and we need to stand up and we need to support our community leaders. We need to also encourage them to also explore learning in different environments as well, so that they too can be kept abreast of what is happening and how best that their voices can be heard. We need to also, we could do this on our own and we could do it through community groups as well, but we need to question the authorities and the systems that are already in place. We hear a lot of times about systemic discrimination. It is a reality, and that reality can only be addressed if we look at it as something that needs to be tackled. We don't need to keep only talking about it, but we need to ask pointed questions. We need to encourage the thinking, and we need to guide the direction setting, and we can ask questions about the government programs, plans, and initiatives by saying, who is going to be left behind if you take this plan of attack? Which communities are going to be receiving increased risks of harm? Many times they implement various programs and initiatives, and they look at only what they want to achieve, and they don't have a recognition that there are some peripheral situations that may arise out of that. So we need to keep that at the forefront of their thinking, and we want to also ask, what steps are the governments going to take to hold people accountable? And if this program or this plan doesn't work the way planned, how are we going to rectify situations that may arise that might not have been first thought out? So another thing that we can do within our community is to volunteer. We can volunteer with various groups, and we can provide your specialized skill, because we all are coming with different talents, different viewpoints, and different experiences, and that lends to looking at solutions in a different way. It doesn't only have to be one way. So another thing is to engage with the community groups and engage with Canadian institutions. Several times people are asking for assistance to help with their programs or with their initiatives. We can lend a hand or two. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Maybe you won't have time to give your full attention or your full 20 hours, but maybe you can give 5. So that's more or less what I have highlighted as some of the actions that we can take on a road to success. So I received questions and answers in advance, and so they're on the slides, and we can look at discussing those a little bit further. The question is, what are the factors affecting how Blacks utilize mental health services? So this is a key question, because within the Black community, there's a lot of situations around mental health. And unfortunately, there is a struggle for many Blacks as they think about and try to access mental health services. Unfortunately, some of these situations have to be dealt on head on, and many times people want to try to address them behind the back door. They don't want people to know that they're struggling. And also, there's a lot of misunderstanding within the Black community around mental health issues. And many times there are cultural barriers that prevent people from accessing or identifying a safe space to have those conversations that could help with dealing and addressing with various issues such as depression, anxiety, and other disorders. So culturally, there's a lot of elements that are around Blacks utilizing mental health services. There's a sense that you really shouldn't discuss your home life outside of your doors, and therefore a lot of people don't want people to know that they're struggling, right? There's a lot of isms within the Black community as well, around colorism, sexism, classism. So the list is not exhaustive, as we know, and unfortunately this leads to the large health disparities within the Black community, because the less times that people are accessing the services and identifying that there is a situation, the less opportunity that they will be counted in the numbers, even in future. How far do Blacks have to go to make progress? Well, that's an interesting question, because really there isn't any end point in life, right? So all progress moving forward has to be celebrated. And given that there's so much room for improvement within the Black community, I say the sky's the limit. We are in unprecedented times, and therefore there has been a shift in thinking and acceptance that this is a time to focus on how Blacks can improve and move forward in all aspects of society. Everyone, and I mean all individuals, institutions, organizations, governments, etc., are waiting for Black voices to express what progress really means to them. So how far do Blacks have to go? As far as they want to go. Next slide.
Can you offer us some suggestions in terms of what we could do?
Well, this is where I'm saying that everybody needs to give their voice to whatever cause that they can. They need to go, when it's a personal level and you hear of something that is being said that is a disparaging remark, you need to address it. You need to point out to the person who said it, for their benefit as well as the other people around, that they know that this is really not the way to move forward. In terms of professionally, we need to keep applying to different positions. Yes, you're discounted, the door could be closed in front of you, but the more applications that they receive, the less opportunities they have to not take somebody new, to not look at it in a different way. In terms of the community, You need to go out there. Our voices need to be heard. Black voices for black situations. It's important that the people who are having the situations speak up for themselves. So those are some of the strategies. Mostly it's just to get your voice out there. So if I look at the next question, it's why do blacks need a strategy? Same thing about what I'm saying. As I said earlier too, in the other questions and answers about the blacks and the progress, the world is listening and the world is waiting to hear the black voices express the next step. There's the protests, the riots, the uprisings, the tapings, the conversations, the interviews. These have all proven that the topic is at the forefront of everybody's mind. The ideas are flowing and the solutions are many and are coming from different perspectives. And we need all those different perspectives to address the different needs and to include and identify different concerns. There can never be one size fits all for community action, especially for the black community action. Therefore, one of the strategies that I think that needs to be embraced is that we need to move forward from just looking at disenfranchised community groups. Pain is pain. And the only way that we heal it is when we address it. So in our situation, I believe that we need to start moving away from the right or the wrong way to proceed. We just need to look forward, right? And that looking forward should be our strategy. So there are many community groups, many organizations and people who need help and assistance to move their plans and their agendas forward. So we need to volunteer our time, we need to give our expertise, and we need to put some actions behind some of the areas that a lot of people seem to identify that needs to be improved. Everybody's coming up with ideas, but they need to put actions behind it. So community, it means a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals, and we need to keep that in mind. That's the ultimate strategy, is to give a voice to black concerns and interest from black people.
Can you give us some suggestions about strategies in terms of, or at least give us one suggestion of a strategy that blacks could face?
So a strategy more so than making sure that your voice is heard. Okay, so one of the ways that I also think is through email. In this day and age, we have a lot of stuff going for us. So one of the ways that we have is we can make connections. We can make connections without being shut out at a door. So we can look up information in the computer, the World Wide Web. We can see who the CEOs, we can see who the senior people are, we can see who is able to make changes within that organization, and we could send emails. We can send an email and we can CC other people to make sure that we know that they're going to receive it, and we can bring up our ideas. So one of my strategies is really and truly capitalizing on the situation that we have at hand. People are listening and they are waiting. So therefore, when you have an idea, instead of keeping it and discussing it amongst ourselves and trying to come up with this great proposal, it's to put it out there. And unfortunately, we might not see the ownership of that idea, but it's important to put it out there more so than taking ownership of holding it and leading it through.